The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Edward Jones. Do we have Edward? Okay, good. Edward Jones. Now, the problem is, Edward, that I don't know how to introduce you. I know your background, but because I know your background, I know I can't just say what your background is. So why don't you self-identify? You know, in the age of feelings, why don't you self-identify, Edward Jones?
Oh, that's great, Walter. Thank you very much, and congratulations. I hope you hang around for a while. Yeah, it's Edward Jones, and I got three things going for me. I think I've got enormous curiosity. I have a library card. I'm not afraid to read a book. And over the years, I've been privileged to have experiences and work assignments and all of that. So. Yeah, that's me. Go ahead.
That isn't what it says on a business card. What would it have said on your card before you retired?
CEO of my own firm.
A cover.
Edward G. Jones and Company, LLC. Business development.
All right. Edward Jones knows a lot more than he's admitting to. But he's an international student. He's aware of how government works in other countries to a profound level. He also understands security and protection to a profound level. And Edward, when you saw the shenanigans last night at the press dinner in Washington, D.C., where there were shots, a man was taken down. He was heavily armed. He had been sitting around in a hotel for a week thinking about what he was going to do. And there he was in front of the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States. What was your assessment of that situation?
The first thought that came to my mind was he was a copycat. If you recall, there was that attack a few years ago out in Las Vegas where the bad guy brought in an enormous quantity of weapons and he assembled them in his room. And then proceeded to shoot down into the crowd, and I think killed about 50 people. But that idea of coming into a hotel, lots of people, just checking in, guest, bringing up a bag filled with weapons and parts of weapons, that's what he did. And fortunately, he did not get into the ballroom. He was stopped by a perimeter of security staffed by the Secret Service and the Metropolitan Police. So that's what happened.
Well, how did you assess the takedown? Did you think they were on the ball? Did you think they could have been faster, handled it differently? What was your professional assessment? Not this glad handing, oh my gosh, God bless the Secret Service. What was your assessment?
Oh, I thought it was extremely well done. I have to say, I was watching C-SPAN, and I love shout out to C-SPAN. Give them an Emmy right now.
Wait, I want to hear this, but you're the first person in history to do a shout-out to C-SPAN and also the first ones to suggest that they need an Emmy. But that's your opinion. Please go ahead.
That is my opinion. Sticking to the facts, what I saw, I really liked what the Secret Service did. They acted very, very quickly. They had this president surrounded on four sides. I counted in the videos about 6 people that were protecting him, covering him. There was an agent standing in front of the dais, in front of him. He was joined by a second agent. All this happened within seconds. I looked at my watch a couple of times, and I calculated it took about 12 to 14 seconds to get him and Melania out of there. Now, mind you, he stumbled. He's a large man, and he stumbled going out and went down to the floor, and they had to lift him and move him along. So they did that beautifully, and 2 uniform SWAT type police, maybe from the Metropolitan Police came to and flanked either side of that group. I mean, it was just so. I said to a friend of mine, it was an elegant security ballet going on there. Now there was some, they raised the issue of J.D. Vance getting out of there sooner than the president. Not much sooner, but sitting at the end of the table or toward the middle of the end of the table, he had one Secret Service agent there with him in tuxedo who really just tapped him on the shoulder, and they knew it was time to go. A young guy, very agile, up and out. He turned out of his seat and he was gone. But the president was a little bit more of an issue, I think, because of his balance and what have you. But he was very well covered. The last thing I'll say on this is that I saw a video of the agents jumping over the tables.
Yes,
to get to the stage.
Oh, I thought they were trying to get the champagne bottles that were left behind.
That could have been too motivation. But anyway, what I wanted to say is that a young woman agent came up in that group to the left side of the stage going up, and I noticed as they moved forward, there were three agents that went over the tables, to the dais in that direction. She turned around. And you could tell she had her weapon out from the posture of her body. She turned around, and she was providing cover. She was covering their backs as they moved forward. The whole thing unfolded, in my opinion. It was very well executed and very well planned. But seeing that move on her part to cover the guys that were going ahead, that made an impression on me.
I thought that the woman agent was the same woman agent we had seen in Butler. Remember the woman agent we saw in Butler, Pennsylvania, who seemed a little lost in Butler, Pennsylvania, but physically and her hair, it looked like the same agent. Did that register with you as well, or am I wishful?
No, you're not wishful. I thought it was the same agent, and I have to say she and Butler, I thought she handled herself pretty well. I mean. Not knowing where the shot was coming from, surrounding him, she was in every frame with her arms around the president, and that was a tough spot. That was really a tough spot.
800-848-9222. That is the number to talk with me, Walter Sterling, and Edward Jones, who is a security expert and an expert on international affairs. I had Edward on last week to discuss something incredibly boring, and he made it interesting, which was exactly what's going on in Iran, and to explain the Strait of Hormuz, which was complete confusion to me. But he straightened it out, and I'm grateful for that. When you look at Iran this past week, Edward, now that you're here and you're the sanest person I'm going to talk to tonight, do you have any opinions on how the situation in Iran is evolving? Are you happy with the progress? What do you think is going to happen next? Pure speculation.
The way I see it, Walter, the foreign minister that's leading the negotiations for Iran right now is a new guy. The two senior guys that were killed recently, about a month ago. They were the voice to the outside world of Iran, and they were also Larijani, the foreign minister, was killed. Was their leading negotiating partner. So right now, to net it out, there's a lot of confusion in the regime, quote unquote, the IRGC, which is running the country. There's a lot of confusion within the IRGC. They don't have a unified message right now to deliver, and they don't have people qualified to represent them to the outside world. So it was no surprise to me this weekend that they shut down They were supposed to go back to Pakistan yesterday, but the new foreign minister was traveling around the Gulf. He went to a couple of nations on shuttle diplomacy.
To play golf? What was he doing?
He was getting advice. And then he went to Russia. He went to Moscow to talk to Putin. Yes, he's in Moscow now, and I suspect the reason for that is because the Russians sheltered. They took custody of the uranium back, I think, in 2015, 16, somewhere in there. And I think they might be trying to make a play to have the Russians take the uranium. They don't want the uranium to go to the U.S. So all that's going on right now. The message unity is really there is none from what I can tell. coming out of Iran. And Trump made a very, his typical bold statement. He said, "I'm not chasing them. You guys have to come to me. I gave you a proposal. You said you were going to answer it. You haven't done that. So, the clock is ticking."
All right, Martin in upstate New York. Martin in upstate New York wants to talk with Edward Jones, security expert, international news and information source, speaks in a way that I, a Syracuse University English major, can actually understand. Martin, welcome to The Other Side of Midnight.
Thank you, Walter. Edward Jones, you said?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, it is, Martin. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. My question to you is, I was listening last night. I was listening to WABC, and I heard about the shooting. So then I turned on TV to see what happened, and I saw the guy go running past through the lobby, charging through the lobby past some Secret Service guys. Then apparently he shot a Secret Service guy who luckily was wearing his vest and did not get hurt. But why wouldn't they just shoot that guy right then, shoot him right then? Why, how is it he's still alive?
Martin, thank you very much for the call. Thanks for calling The Other Side of Midnight. Edward, what's your opinion about that?
They took shots at him, and I don't know whether they shot to kill or they wanted to just take him down. But in any event, they missed. They did fire shots. I don't know what the protocol exactly was there, but the perpetrator fired his long rifle, which is actually a shotgun, and hit the Metropolitan Police officer whose vest saved him. So that was good news. But he was uninjured. They moved him to the hospital, which police usually do in a situation like that, because they wanted to make sure that he was taken down in a rough manner, obviously, and face down on the floor and cuffed behind, and so they took him for observation after that. But he was not injured.
All right, Edward Jones, thank you very much for your expert opinion, the information that you give us, the ability you have to explain these complicated things to me, a person with limited capabilities. Edward Jones, thank you very much for being on The Other Side of Midnight. Thanks, Edward.